Hello, Cublets. Welcome back to another Bear With Me, BearElliott. I've been really putting off seeing this particular movie, and I was interesting because of the fact that I love this series of movies, not because it's gory or anything like that, but I think it makes a political statement that is subtle, but in this one, man, did it ever hit hard. This series of movies is The Purge. Now, this year is an election year in the United States, which brings out all kinds of loveliness from everyone. I've currently been going through a purge of my own on Facebook and removing those that I believe that everyone has the right to their own opinions, but when it becomes a situation like we have currently in the United States where we have some candidates that are wanting to take away the rights of certain individuals, and I'm very much against that. So I have used my right as a U.S. citizen to purge them from my Facebook page. But that's something completely different. We're not talking about politics right now. We're talking about the Purge election year. Now, again, this movie is part 3 of a series. Now, I'm hoping the series continues, but this one, when you look at the 3 movies put together, it's very interesting. Now, this particular one, election year, focuses on a senator. Now, one could only assume that she would be more of a Democrat than a Republican. Well, Senator Charlie, that's her name, Charlie, she was a victim of the Purge. Her entire family, except for herself, were purged 18 years ago. And there's also, it's interesting that that particular person that purged them, he reappears in a cameo later on. You only see him in that cameo. But he has a distinctive Joker-esque laugh. Well, Charlie's family was purged. All of her mother, her father, and her brother. And the mother had to make the decision about which one of the family members was going to live. And that was Charlie. Charlie has spent her entire political career going against the Purge, which was created by the Founding Fathers. Now, that has been a group of people that have been, I guess, brought up in the first 2 movies, but they've never been identified until this movie. Because in the first Purge movie, we looked at a single family. Now, how this family was going through the night of the Purge, because the basic premise is that one night a year, there is no limits to crime. For 12 hours. From sundown for the next 12 hours, they are completely allowed to purge in whatever form they want, and there is no retribution when it comes to crime. So, you're willing to go out there and do it, then you're allowed to go out there and do it. So that includes murder. Now, in the second movie, we pull back that camera lens a little bit further and we show a wider group. Now, these particular individuals are trying to get back into their safe zone, back into their homes, but are stuck outside the Purge. So they're unwilling participants in this activity and how they proceed through this 12 hours. Now, we are introduced to a character, Leo, at that time. Now, Leo actually wants to participate in the Purge because his son was killed by a drunk driver. Now, Leo is one of our main characters in the second one. Leo makes a reappearance in the third one. Leo has now taken a job as the private, it seems like he's more private. He could be government. He does have a military background, but he is now the main person that's responsible for Senator Charlie's protection. And they have removed, the Founding Fathers have decided that they need to remove her and from the grand scheme of things because she could really screw things up for them. Because you learn in the third one that the Purge is actually a way to purify the lower class. Now, if you look at America, the lower classes, I hate that word, but those that are not in the upper echelons tend to be of minority descent. And that's what their whole thing is. And insurance companies are supporting them. And you get to see the corruption in government and also the corruption in the insurance and how they're using this to just benefit themselves. And the Founding Fathers do not want to remove those benefits. It's interesting when you look at the Founding Fathers, they're all white men. Except for one is a one white woman. And it's interesting because they're referred to the founding fathers. They're not the founding family or the founding people. They're specifically the founding fathers, which is not so subtle of a suggestion that it's a white male's world, which sadly it is. But then we have a removal of that in the past, the certain people of the government have been exempt from actually being participants in the Purge. So if you were a senator, a congressman, or a person of importance in the government, then you have coverage, basically. Well, that's been removed because they want to remove Charlie. Well, the story proceeds where Charlie's Secret Service is penetrated and influenced by money by the founding fathers because they're going to sacrifice her at this ritual. There's a strange mixture of, which is very much in the United States. It's so interesting when looking at this movie because you can really see so much similarities how the writing was, and it's of course reason why they wrote it this way, but a lot of similarities between religion and how that is woven into the government and governmental power. You also have the whole thing about racism because you focus on certain individual groups, and the three other main characters in this are minorities. You have a business owner who owns a deli, Leo, and his insurance gets canceled the day before, or the day of actually, that he no longer has Purge coverage, so in case his business is destroyed, then he loses everything. Whereas before, if his business was destroyed, insurance would pay for that. Well, they hike up his rates to the point where he can't cover that. You also have, I believe his name was Marco? Yeah, Marco. He is a Mexican immigrant, which you kind of get the feeling that he may be an illegal immigrant into the country. He has a past criminal background because he was trying to survive in Mexico and he moved to the United States to try to get a better life. Then you also have, I thought she was the most interesting character, is that she represents someone that has gone through the Purge and she participated in the Purge and she realizes that the Purge is not a good thing, that she came out of this realizing that this is a horrible, horrible thing. And she now spends her evenings going around as a trauma unit and picking up those people that are participating in the Purge and then realize that this is not what they wanted to do and they just got sucked into this craziness. So you have a very interesting mix. And when people ask me about what I thought of this movie, I can sum it up into basically one statement. I left feeling uncomfortable. And why was I uncomfortable with this movie? It's because there's so many similarities to reality. And when I go to the movies, I like escapism. I like to see a new view of things from a different perspective. And I left this one feeling very uncomfortable because it was too close to reality. Especially when you look at our political candidate on the Republican side. I will not say his name. But you have him preaching certain elements that are reflected in this, and I swear they took things right directly out of speeches that he has said, and also speeches that Hillary has said as well, such as a better America, and we also get a look at what the global view of the United States is, and that was very similar to our global view right now. So I left this movie feeling very uncomfortable. This blog's going a little bit longer than I was expecting because I have a lot to say about this. I don't want to give away any of the plot because I think this is a movie that every American, especially this year, needs to go see. Even if you haven't seen the last one, it pretty much tells you what's going on. So you don't need to really see the past two, like to get Leo's backstory, because he even says it in like one quick sentence that, hey, I participated once and it was not the right thing to do. So I think it's a movie that people really need to go see. Overall, is it a great movie? It's kind of, at points, cheesy, but I think the underlying statement is what people need to see right now. Especially during its election year, I think people will come out of this, I hope, maybe looking at our politics in a little bit different of a way. So I think it's a good movie to go see. Overall, out of my 5, I like to give a rating on this. I'm giving this definitely a 3. I think it's something that's good. I don't think it's a stellar movie, but I think the writing is solid, and I think the acting is solid as well. It's just not one of those feel-good movies that you leave and that would be like, yay, I just saw Finding Dory, which, that review, I wasn't left that one well either. So yeah, go out and see it. It's called The Purge Election Year. It's in theaters right now. I don't know how much longer because it has been out for a while, but go out and see it. So until next time, have yourself a wonderful day, and don't purge anybody. But do page your Facebook page. Might want to do that. So until next time, have yourself a wonderful day. Bye, Kabli!
I could go out in the darkness, see you calling my name. I hear you shouting, hear you calling, but it's not the same. Every word that you are throwing right into my back doesn't matter to me, cause I'm keeping my track. Let me go, let me go.